Hey guys, Kakarot197 again. This time with a review of the 1/44 scale Gym Command from the 0080 OVA series. And as you can tell by the box and the model kit, this is not the modern high-grade Universal Century, but the old 1989 no grade. And I gotta say, for a model kit from 1989, this thing is surprisingly good. The proportions really look nice. It has clear green for the visor and the camera above it. And for the most part, it is color accurate to about the same extent as the high-grade Universal Century. And again, for a kit of that time, that was surprising. Sure, it has a lot of unsightly seam lines, but that was something to be expected at the time. And we also get this sticker sheet. Now, while it looks like our modern marking sticker sheet, they actually also put regular stickers on this sheet. So you get two for the intakes, you get two for kind of like the vent things on the shield, you get a red one for at the bottom of the crotch, and then you also get the marking stickers, a Federation symbol for on the chest and one for on the shield. And then two stickers that I haven't applied are those triangle things that you're supposed to put onto the knees. Then when we move on to the accessories, you get basically everything that you would expect from the Gym Command ground type. First of all, when we turn them around, you get two beam sabers there. Now, when we remove these with some effort, also unlike the modern high-grade Universal Century, they do not pull down, but they pull out, and they are in there extremely securely. These are dummies, but as you probably guessed, if you were to drill a hole in there, you could use modern beam saber blades. What they want you to use are these two beam saber chopsticks. Yes, they're beam saber chopsticks, but because it's an old kit, I will let it slide. What is extremely surprising about these beam sabers is just how well they go into the hands. Also, unlike the high-grade Universal Century, we do get two holding hands. The only problem is, what isn't as secure is the wrist joint. In theory, it is an amazing joint with a lot of movement, but not always with a lot of force. So I recommend superglue to fix that. Then next up, we get the bullpup machine gun with a dedicated trigger finger hand. Simply remove the holding hand, pop in the bullpup machine gun, and there you go. Of course, because the Gym Commands tended to be extremely fragile, in the anime you're probably going to want to equip your Gym Command with a shield for all the good that it will do. Now, there are no holes in the arms to mount them on. Instead, we get a handle that you just slide into the hand, and there you go. Unfortunately, unlike the beam sabers, it tends to fall down. Not just because the wrist is extremely weak, but also because the handle itself is slightly too thin. Again, you might want to fix that with some super glue or just something else to make the handle thicker. And finally, let's have a look at the articulation of this thing, which is quite a mixed bag. The head is on a hinge, not on a ball joint, so it goes up nicely, down a little bit, and will rotate around all the way. And the arms will rotate around very easily, but up extremely tightly to the point that you're actually more likely to tear off the arm or break the peg that they're on. The arm rotates around above the elbow and also bends on one joint for a nice 90-degree bend. The hands are on pegs, will rotate around and then hinge downwards a little bit and upwards really nicely. The one on the right is actually pretty secure and can handle most, and there goes the arm. Let's put that to the side and move on to the waist. This is quite interesting because unlike most model kits nowadays that bend at the bottom at like the separation here, it actually bends slightly higher. Well, it rotates there and will only go that far because the cockpit hits that lower part. And then this does not move at all. The legs go forwards a little bit, backwards not really that far until they hit the back skirt. Also, one really cool thing is that the front skirts are molded separately. They go outwards really far, will also rotate around a little bit. Then the knees are extremely bad, although you could modify them by removing the plastic to give them much more of a bend. And when you look at the high-grade Universal Century, that is basically what they did for the design of that model kit. And then finally, the feet. We also have the ankle guards that will move. Feet go forwards a little bit, but for some reason, backwards ridiculously far, exposing the joint, and there is also wiggle from side to side. As always, the inevitable question is, do you want to buy this? And well, if you're watching this in 1989, I would say yes. Also, leave a comment down below if you are. I can tell you for the next decade or so, this will be by far the best gym ever released. Not that it had much competition, because you really only had the ground type gym, but still, at the time, this was a really good model kit, a lot of nice features, really cool proportions. You got like the clear parts on the visor, you got some marking stickers, you get the whole shebang. But of course, it is no longer 1989, and this thing has unfortunately not aged very well. We got the high grade Universal Century, we got the Master Grade, and for only 800 yen, this thing is so much better. The 300 yen that you're saving by buying this thing is just not worth it. Everything the high grade does, obviously, is much better, with the exception of like the few things that I mentioned, but still. Also, do keep in mind the one I'm showing has marking stickers that you do not get with the High Grade Universal Century Gym Command. So honestly, the only real reason to get the old Gym Command nowadays is just something cool to have, like a collector's item, if you want to collect all the gyms, something like that. But if you really want a good model kit, get the High Grade Universal Century, or if you really want to go all out, get the Master Grade. And then finally, for some comparisons, here he is again next to the High Grade Universal Century Gym Command and the Gym Kai. Then next to some other old model kits, we have the 1/44 scale Heavy Arms and the Sandrock. And finally, here he is next to the standard size Gym Custom and the always bulky Zaku 3. And that's all for this review. A big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all next time.